I like that. That would be cool. Oh, I could use that for my office. Add, add. Oh, hi guys. Welcome back to the channel. All right, got a little wrapped up on Amazon. You know how that is, right? And if you do, then you're in the right place because the biggest influence on our finances is spending. But do you really know why you spend the way you do? Today, I'm going to walk through the process of understanding your spending and why it's so important to know this in order to make a change. Now, if you've been around this channel for a while, you know I do things different. That I do not agree that everybody needs to follow that traditional money advice. And there's so much advice out there telling you what to spend and what not to spend money on. And guys, if you're looking for that, you can check out now, because that's not what I do. This is about understanding your spending and if it's not working and aligned with your life, if it's not allowing you to achieve the goals you want. That is the important part. And so today we're going to really dive into this. And the first part about doing that is really understanding that there are 3 types of spending. Now, if you go look on the interwebs, you're not going to find this as my own words and my own labeling. But this is important because this is how I use it with my clients to make it very clear in your mind. Because for me, I'm very visual. And so this helps me visually separate everything. So the very first type of spending that happens is the guilty impulsive spending. This type of impulsive spending is done and you just feel guilty about it after. Maybe you spent too much on Amazon and they just sit there. I can't tell you how many boxes of stuff I had sitting around that I never even used because I purchased it. And I just felt guilty that I spent all that money. And then I have to go and return them, which if you're like me with ADHD, we probably won't do. So I just felt really bad about it. And usually this type of spending is very connected to your emotional state at the time, but we'll get to that in a minute. The second type of spending is the planned and the considered spending. Now, this is the type of spending that you do when you go through a healthy decision-making process. So it's not done quickly usually. It is planned. We consider all the options. We consider different things that we can do. We actually look at different prices, and you go through the full process and you make a choice on whether or not you want to spend that money or not. Now, I will tell you that if you are feeling guilty about this in some way, or you feel bad about some of this spending, then that's probably telling you that you have some money blocks going on. So be aware of that. Number 3 is joyful impulsive spending. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite, right? So this is a type of impulsive spending that we don't feel bad about. Like we do, and it brings us so much joy that we're excited about, and that it's just amazing. I'll tell you what, like for example, I took my kids to Walmart the other day because they were just having a rough day, and it was just like, oh, you know what? Let's just go. Let's go to Walmart. Let's enjoy ourselves. And I decided to, get them a new toy, and we went to dinner, and we did all kinds of fun stuff. Best day ever, Mom. That's what they said. Best day ever, Mom. But this felt so good to me because what I was doing is I was spending time with my kids. I was enjoying time with them, and I did not feel guilty about any of that. Although I will tell you the toys thing, that's something to look at later. And so this type of impulsive spending makes us feel good, and we have very little, there should be no guilt here, right? If you add intentionality to this kind of spending, it will create balance in your finances, and it will be amazing. You want to stay tuned when I talk about how to add intentionality to this type of spending. I'm going to do that in a few minutes. But for this video, we're really going to be talking about the guilty and the joyful impulsive spending, because let's face it, with us with ADHD, this is where we struggle the most. So let's dive into this, because one of the things that we really need to understand before we can do anything about it is what triggers this type of spending. So in order to make a change to how we're spending our money, we need to understand what triggers us to swipe the debit card in the first place. So there are 2 different types of triggers that will have you spend money. The first is the emotional triggers, and I think a lot of us with ADHD, we're going to know these very well. Boredom, dealing with anything and that making us feel yuck, right? Depression, all those type of things. Loneliness, these type of things make us less mindful of our purchases because we're really just seeking to feel better. And the second type of emotional spending is that fear of missing out. You want to do it too, and everybody else is getting a great deal. Fear of missing out, definitely an emotional trigger. The third type is obligations, guys. So this happens more towards the end of the year when holidays are going on, but they can happen all year long. But mostly it's feeling that obligation to to make a purchase. Hey, I have to go ahead and purchase something for my boss because it's the holidays, or hey, somebody got me a gift, so I have to get them a gift, that whole thing. Feeling obligated to make purchases because there's social pressure or in some way there's a reason. Feeling that obligation, that's going to trigger you to spend as well. That's the emotional triggers. Let's talk about the physical triggers. These are the ones that are right up in your face, on your phone, or in the store, and they're going to trigger you to spend money. The first one is sales, guys. Oh my gosh, promotion, sales, anything. When you're in a store and you're going through Target and you see a sale on something that you want, you will be triggered so fast to make that purchase because you want that. And you can rationalize that you'll use it in a month or two or 4 months or whatever long, but you can make the rationalization that you'll use it eventually, right? So might as well get it now. So that will make you spend more money than you usually would. The next one is the payment option. There's so many different apps out there now that offer interest-free loans, basically, so that you can actually make a purchase and pay for it for 12 months without interest. And you do it. Now, the problem is not that you're doing the loan or any of that. The problem arrives at the fact that it's so much easier to spend money you otherwise don't have. Spending money is because there's no consequences to it, at least not in the moment. There's no consequences. You're not paying interest, so it gives you that reason to go ahead and spend more than you otherwise would have. I'm going to do a whole other video on that one because I have a bit of a rant that I have for those type of things. And then finally, this is a big one that most people don't really know. Actually, you know what? Before I do that one, I want to add online sales. Oh, that one's tough. Because here's the thing about online sales is that not only are you getting emails in your inbox about sales and things going on, but you're getting bombarded through social media, through YouTube, through TikTok, we're getting all these ads to spend, and we're more likely to do it. In fact, it's happening all the time. So it's really difficult to even avoid that. So that's a big trigger. Final one, and this is the one that I think nobody really thinks about when they talk about triggers to spend money, but is probably one of the biggest ones, is having large amounts of money that have no purpose for it. So let me explain. So let's say you get your tax refund or you get a bonus at work, and then so now you have these thousands of dollars sitting in your bank account. What do you do with it? Well, first of all, if you have no intention behind it, you don't have it planned for something, then it's going to get spent. We're more easily triggered to spend that money sitting there without any purpose than if we have money coming in and immediately put it to where it needs to go. Large amounts of money will trigger you to spend. Okay, so those are the triggers that are most commonly happen, and obviously there's probably lots and lots more. And this is why it's so important for you to know exactly what triggers you to spend money the most often. That's why in my 30-day journal, I actually have a spot where you track your impulsive spending, why you did it, and what you were feeling in the moment. This is so important to do because if you understand your impulsive spending, you can take that next step. It gives you the information you need to know what to do next. So 30-day journal, great asset to be able to learn and understand how you spend. I'll put the link below if you like it. But I just wanted to show that in tracking these triggers are so. Let's talk about once you know what your triggers are, once you've tracked them and you understand them, the next step is to figure out what to do about it, right? You got this information. What do you do? Let's talk about adding intentionality. So you have joyful impulsive spending. You feel good about this type of spending. And the way to be able to create balance in your finances is to add intentionality behind this impulsive spending. It's totally okay if you want to be impulsive and spend money, but you have to be intentional about it too. How do you do that? There's some really great ways. One, this is what I do. One of the things that I do is create a category in your spending plan for it. So you can call it whatever you want and call it impulsive spend, or you can call it family time. I have mine as family fun. And so I set money aside in my spending plan every month. I can use to do whatever I want with. It's impulsive. It doesn't, I don't have to have a reason for it. It's just there. I have a limit to it because I set that amount in my spending plan, but that's it. I can spend it when or wherever I want. And that's the important part, is I'm giving myself permission to do so. Do I do it every month? No, but you know the great part about that is I'm automatically building in a bulk in my spending plan, and I can just put it in savings when I'm done. So if I don't use it in this month, I can add that extra $100 into my savings account towards whatever savings goals that I'm working on at the time. So it's kind of a win-win. The next way that you can add intentionality is to create visual savings. So this is very important because those of us with ADHD, visual reminders and things like that are going to be a huge bonus for you. Take a jar, put it on your counter, put your extra cash in there, take cash every paycheck, whatever you want to do, and just put it in there and label it for whatever it is that you want to use it for. If you want to use it to go out to dinner, if you want to use it to shop with your family, whatever it is, pick something, put it on there, write it on there, and then just start putting cash in there. Great part about that is you're building up savings there, and you can use it when it gets full. You can use it for the intention that you have it. You're giving that intentionality to impulsively spend whatever's in that jar. Or when you're done, you can deposit it back into a bank and you have more money in your savings. That's the great part about this, guys, is when you add intentionality to your impulsive spending, sometimes you don't use it, and that's automatically building up your savings, which is a great tip for us with ADHD if you want to save more. And then finally, this is my favorite one, and honestly, I don't hear anybody talking about this ever, and that is create a reward system in your finances. Give yourself permission to reward yourself. So if you have a goal, let's say you want to save $1,000. So you say, okay, I'm going to save $1,000 by this date. That's the goal. If I do, I get to take 100 of it and go splurge however I want. Gamify it, guys. When you gamify your finances like that, you're going to be motivated to fill that savings, achieve that goal, create rewards, give yourself permission to use that $100 and say, hey, I can go ahead and spend that however I like. And you save $900 in the process. So that's so important to really, and I feel like if more people did this, their savings accounts would get full so fast because you're going to be motivated to say, hey, yeah, I want to fill that bank account, right? Okay, so let's talk about that guilty impulsive spending. What do we do about it? So when you have guilty impulsive spending, you have to be able to slow down the process in which you spend that money. That is the only way you're going to do it. And the best way to do that is to create roadblocks. Now, there are so many types of roadblocks, but I'm going to talk about 3 main ones here today. The first one is visual reminders. Again, with the visual, I know, but they're so important. Create a visual reminder of what you're trying to do. Remind yourself of what you could be spending that money on. So debit cards, put a sticky note on it, create a background on Canva and be able to remind yourself of your goals, create a folder this is one that I do a lot. I have a folder that says, is it worth it? Because normally when I'm going into Amazon, it's not worth it. So it makes me press that button, that pause button, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let me go find something better to do. Way of doing it will help you so much. One is saving templates. Again, another thing, I love Canva, but you can create that on there. While you're saving your $1,000, create a visual for it, right? But whatever it is, these types of things, these visual reminders will help you press pause on your spending so that you can think through it a little bit more before you hit that buy button. The second type of roadblock that you can create is create difficulty in spending the freaking money to begin with, right? Too many of us have our credit cards and debit cards linked to our accounts. Disconnect them, take them off of Amazon, take them off to Walmart, whatever it is. Disconnect it completely. Do not have that stuff saved on those accounts because it makes it so much easier to spend. And then put the card in your car and lock up your car. So that way, if you're sitting on the couch and you're looking through Amazon and you want to make a purchase, not only can you not just do it right there, now you have to get up, you have to go out to your car, get in the garage, open the door, pull out your debit card, put in the number for that, to do all that. And if you're like me at 10 o'clock at night, you're not going to go do all that. So you'll probably not spend as much. My favorite one of these creating difficulty ones, and one that really ties, that I use literally every single day, honestly, because it's so effective in stopping this type of impulsive spending. I ask myself the question, can it wait till tomorrow? I am a chronic procrastinator, guys. It comes with the ADHD, and sometimes it sucks. But sometimes I can use it as a superpower, and that's what I do when it comes to my finances. So if I'm going to make a purchase and it's an impulsive purchase, I'm like, hey, can I wait until tomorrow? 9 times out of 10, yeah, you can wait until tomorrow, and you will. And if you're like me, you'll forget. And so you forget about the purchase altogether. And then eventually when you do come back to the Amazon cart, it just moves into save for later because it's an afterthought. And so this one works so well for me, and it definitely can work well for you. So ask yourself, can it wait until tomorrow? Can it wait until my next paycheck? Whatever the question is for you, but procrastinate that purchase. This is a great way to utilize what we already struggle with anyway, right? Got to tap into that. This is one that nobody uses, but it should, because it's highly effective at stopping the guilty impulsive spending. And that's enjoy your money. If you enjoy money, you enjoy spending your money more often, then you're less likely to do it impulsively and feel bad about it. The more you spend money and enjoy it, the less you're going to do the guilty impulsive spending. It is very important that you create this relationship with money and you feel good about it, because then you're less likely to spend it without really thinking through. So make time or make space in your life to enjoy your spending. Do participate in self-care. That's another great one to enjoy spending. Take care of ourselves. When we feel good, when we have less of those negative emotions, a lot of times that's really going to cut out a lot of our impulsive spending. So self-care, enjoy spending. These things are so important to be able to roadblock all that negative spending. Now, we've gone through so much information, but there's one thing left that I need to tell you. Now, if you've gone through this, you learned about the different types of spending, you learned about what triggers it, and you learned about what to do about it. Now, what do you do? What's the last one? What's the last step? You got to take action, guys. Just watching videos on YouTube is not going to change your finances. And been around here for a while, I'm all about taking action. It's so important to not just watch a video, but take action from it. So tell me below in the comments. I want to know what's one thing you've learned from this and how can you implement it in your life. I don't care how small, but tell me down below, because I want to know about it. Give yourself that accountability. Claim it. Tell me what you're going to do, because if you take action on these things, then you're going to make a change in your life. Even the smallest action creates momentum and will create change. And when you're done with that, I want you to go ahead and watch this video where I'm actually breaking down 5 small habits you can do that will fill your bank account faster. Check it out.